Guru Nation, what is up with you guys and gals? Listen. This is for the site owners. How do you get studies? Hey, Dan. Hey, Monica. Hey, Chris. How do you get studies? Well, let me tell you how you get studies, right? Monica asked me the same thing. I ask people the same thing. You got to use LinkedIn, right? And we have a service. Chris, you tell them about our service. You get the plug in there, and then we'll go into
Sure.
how to actually do it. Because this is a success story from Monica and myself. We're both clients of the SES.
So for a consulting fee, it's a monthly fee of $1,500. At least that's what it is currently. With inflation, things are always going up in price. So,
We're in
but generally speaking, sorry, Monica,
2023. We're in
go ahead.
2023. That price applies for
There
this
you go.
year.
2023, specifically September 20th, 2023. But yeah, we don't raise prices too often, but we do raise them. Once you're in, though, it stays at that price indefinitely. Previous clients, we don't raise the price on, but for that, you receive a number of services. You receive business development. We help you get studies. We answer your questions. We'll prepare your source documents. We'll negotiate your budget and contract. There's other things included as well, but those are the primary services that most clients rely upon. Yeah. So
Oh, I
Dan,
said a
Monica,
shameless plug. This is very shameful plug. Like took
Dan,
a
I have a good story here.
Quite
It is a good
honestly,
story.
it's like you guys hold the business hand while they're getting
Great.
successful.
Okay, so myself and Monica are both clients of the service, and Monica and I finished a Zoom about 6 months ago. One of our SOS Zooms, probably shameless plug, saveoursites.com. Go get your tickets. And then she said, "Hey, I really want this study. Did you get the leads from Julie?" And I said, "Yeah." And
Wait, sorry, just clarification real quick. Julie provides the clients a weekly list of studies. She's the one that does that. That's who Dan's referring to.
wait, so in your not only did you take 3 minutes, you didn't even put that in there.
Because you weren't looking too closely.
Okay, good. A little more. Yes, Julie is the one that sends the leads. I got to train my new staff to like follow up on them because there's new staff. I had old staff that did it. I don't do it anymore. I used to do it when we needed studies more. But Monica approached me recently and said, "Hey, you know what? Like, did you see that last lead?" And I said, "No, but let's do it together. I'll show you what I do." So we went in there, and you could open like the LinkedIn. What's cool about these leads is it'll show you like who we think you need to talk to on LinkedIn about that study. It's not always right, but usually it is, especially for the smaller companies. It's usually accurate. So we clicked, and then not only did I message that person, but I found like LinkedIn shows you similar people from the same company that might be also the right people to contact. So I just messaged like two more people. And one of them got back to me like the next day, and said, "Yeah, fill out this link." And then I did. And so I was showing Monica how to do this. And so I actually applied for Monica's site and mine when I sent this message. I said, "Hey, you know what? I have a colleague who has a psych clinic in Santa Monica, and then I have one in Yuma." And the next day she replied back and she's like, "Please send this link to your colleague, and this one's for you to fill out too." And then we both have that study. Like fast forward 6 months later, I'm activated. We're actually screened 6 people. Tomorrow we're screening 2 more. It's a good paying study. Chris negotiated our budget, and Monica just had her SIV. So it became reality, like a desire of Monica became a
Yeah.
reality with
Yeah, I remember I called you and I told you I want this study like right now. And you say, let's do that.
So,
And that's exactly what happened.
so I know our clients, Dan, are going to have a number of questions. One of which, what does your on LinkedIn? It's not an email you send, right? It's
the message. Yeah, it's like an email.
it's an email. Okay. So what does your email look like? Well, just generally, right?
Yeah,
It was very simple.
very simple. It was like, dear so and so, like a lot of the clients, what they do is they overwhelm. They think that this is like high school or college, and the more you write, the more proud you'll make your teacher. And this is not a reality of how it works in business. Like nobody cares that you know how to write 8 paragraphs and that it's like grammatically written. Like you're wasting their time. What they care is like if they have a problem, like we need more patients. You have a solution. Hey, I have a site. We're experienced. We can do studies. So it was like a 1 paragraph thing. Like my colleague and we have psych clinics. We have patients in the PI's private practice. Our PIs are both really interested in the study. That's it. You don't need to
Yeah.
write
Mhm.
when you were
So-
founded or the like romantic story of how you guys came to be. Nobody cares.
So our PI is interested in this study. Our PI believes we have lots of patients for this particular study. Please reach out to me if interested. Something like
Mhm.
that.
Something like that. Like we have patients for this study. Research
Right.
naive.
Mhm.
I think I included the words research naive, and I think I put like we have a diverse patient population because both of our sites do.
And
So
bilingual stuff. Maybe put in the paragraph what is important, like your competitive advantage or
that,
something that you can provide, the highlight.
yes, your competitive advantage.
So you haven't done this a lot, used LinkedIn, but when you have, you've been fairly successful, correct?
Yeah, when it's especially when they're smaller companies, because then it's easier to find the right person. Like if it's Eli Lilly, it becomes a lot harder, like or Pfizer, right? It becomes harder. You can find because at those bigger companies, they tend to compartmentalize the therapeutic indications. So sometimes you can still get lucky, but most of the time it's with the smaller companies that this works best.
So small to medium-sized biotechs, this works very well.
Wouldn't even try it with Lilly because you're better off, honestly, like if it's at one of the big pharma, finding the medical science liaison for your PI in your community and approaching them that way.
But that could work with LinkedIn. No, they don't list the medical liaisons for regions.
Yep, you can, but I'm assuming if you already know your MSL and
Okay. But if you don't, you could do it by region, right?
yeah,
On
like honestly, the easier way I would do it, I wouldn't even waste the LinkedIn credit on that. I would ask let's say I didn't know my MSL. I would ask the MAs in the office or the front desk usually are the ones that know, hey, who's the Eli Lilly rep? And sometimes they don't know who's who, so you have to tell them like the drug that Eli Lilly has, like Manjaro, who's that? And then
And then what? Sorry.
they'll know, and then you can contact that rep and ask,
pharmacy.
hey, I didn't really want to talk to you, but who's your MSL? You're gonna be not rude, but
Sure.
MSL because our doctor's really interested in like the study, and they're usually very helpful, very happy to help you do that. And then the MSL, then you got to plant the seeds. And with big pharma, this is also a successful way to get studies, but it takes longer with big pharma because they're not as desperate for sites. But the smaller ones, they are. And so I still think the like 80% of your effort should be on LinkedIn, should be the small to medium sized biotechs. And then if you want to go big pharma, invest in the MSLs eventually. That's going to get you studies too. Like one of the studies we have right now, we have studies where like on one hand they're like huge pharma, Eli Lilly, Boehringer Ingelheim, Amgen, and on the other hand tiny ones you've never heard of like TransTech, Alto, and Paradigm. Like we mixed those up, and both of those, like they were achieved exactly how I'm saying. Those small ones you never heard of, I think it was all through LinkedIn actually, and then the big ones everyone's heard of, it was through medical science liaisons.
So you said you use a credit on LinkedIn. What does that mean? Do you use premium, LinkedIn premium? And you
Premium
get
because it's
any credits?
I get like 30 credits a month. I think they roll over, but no more than 90 at a time. And
So LinkedIn Premium gives you 30 credits, of which each time you reach out to somebody specific, you're using our credit. Is that my understanding correct?
If you got to someone that's not connected to you, yes.
Okay.
In my case, I didn't even use premium for this study Monica and I got because I happen to have been connected to someone at that company. So I didn't even
I
use
was I
LinkedIn.
was gonna mention that after that happened, I went online and find all the pharmaceutical companies that do research on the therapeutic area of my interest. And then I start sending friend invitation to all the parties or all the people that have the right position that I'm looking for. So that way, by the time I receive a lead, I already know someone or have someone on my LinkedIn, and then I'm able to reach out to them.
What's the
So
right position, Monica?
so I actually sent like hundreds of invitations, and I will say that at least 70% of those got accepted.
Wow.
So I have a lot of friends in my LinkedIn from the pharmaceutical companies that I have interest on.
So all of these individuals are capable of awarding studies to sites, or
Yeah, or they can guide me or lead me to the person. So I was looking, so
person?
let's say for example, I start looking for medical license. I start looking for um a startup, site startup positions. I was looking for um what's the name of this? I forgot the name of this position. I was looking for many different roles that can lead me to an opportunity, right? So let's say, for example, Julie sent me this week a list of all the studies, and then I see a study that has that is from one of the pharmaceutical companies that I sent invitations, and then I look on my LinkedIn which ones, if I have somebody in that company, and then I send them a message.
Very nice. Well, thank you for the explanation, Monica. I somehow became kind of the guider here in terms of what the content is, but you have to add to what we've discussed in terms of helping people get studies on LinkedIn.
Like once you get a few, you don't need to do it anymore. But it's always nice if you want to, like right now I'm sniping the leads. So I used to just, like when I first started, just apply to like anything that looks remotely good. And now I'm actually ignoring like phase 2 because I know they're more complicated and I have newer staff. The only experienced staff is me and Katie, and we're like maxed out. Like you guys know I'm maxed out. I could barely join calls right now until new staff are getting trained. So I'm ignoring like phase 2 stuff, even though
But that's because you have enough work in place, right? If you had no studies, you would be working on phase 2 as well.
exactly. And that's exactly what we did. When we started out, like we were still a client of DSCS. We are still a client now, but I was doing this like all the time. And any study that looked like I can enroll even one patient, I was applying for. Now I'm so picky, like phase 2, I don't even consider right now because I know they're like more complex. So phase 3, but once we get less picky, when the staff's like trained, I'll go back because I know those phase 2s also pay better. Also, generally speaking, they pay better faster time, which is you need. Like the phase 3, they pay well, but they're long. So like the cash flow comes through like for a few years, and it's like consistent. But the phase 2 is like spurts of like big cash if you can enroll, but they're complex. Like you're talking complex labs, long visits for the most part. So it's good to have a mix. But yeah, the point is like as you start getting more studies, you can snipe. But the leads are still valuable. Like the other day, Monica told me about one of Julie's leads, and I was supposed to get back to them. I never did. Remember, Monica, you were telling me another depression study. I haven't had the time.
And that depression study I mentioned to you is a great company that pays really well.
sites?
Hmm?
They still need more sites?
I think so.
I
They
might,
that the study's been for a while, so I'm assuming they're very behind on enrollment.
it's probably a phase 2, like something complicated.
But it's a good study. Julie has that study too.
I might text you about it later.
So just to answer, I'm sure, because this is just going to clients, I believe, this video.
Buddy, be a client, this is like what you gonna get and like the reality of the situation. No, let's go to everybody.
You're gonna send it, just put it on YouTube?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then become a client and you can utilize Julie's leads to help get your site studies.
We already sent the clients like a specific one like on this.
Sure, this one
I
will be
mean,
helpful too, though.
and not just that, but the part of getting somebody with experience doing your annual review is the contract. I mean, that's priceless. Thank you, Chris, for
Oh,
doing that for
you
me
don't need
all the
help
time.
anywhere. You've got it down.
But the contracts, I always go to you.
Fair enough.
You're an expert.
Fair enough. Well, I think we've covered everything. Yes?
Yes.
I mean, and those are just 2 ways that I know how to get them. Like there's probably, you can go clinicaltrials.gov and,
Not super effective, though. A lot of time for little.
but to like this,
But you,
like if it's a small biotech, if you go on clinicaltrials.gov and then you go on LinkedIn, like on clinicaltrials.gov, it will show you who's the sponsor. So if you've
Right.
never heard of the sponsor, it's probably a small one. And just make US sites, because if they're not, if you're in the US, if they're only using like sites in China and India, they're not interested in US sites. So it's time consuming, but you can still do this for free. It's just better to pay us the fee because again, sending you the leads is just one small thing of what we do. We do the budgets, the SOP, when you started all that stuff. So, I mean, if you had time, you do that too. It's fine.
like I was saying, you guys hold your hands until the site is extreme successful. You guys have so many success stories out there,
Oh, yeah.
including me.
I was just going to say in regards to clinicaltrials.gov, I literally just spoke to a client 2 days ago about this, and they just said, the leads from Julia are great. They wanted to get more leads. And so I said, okay, well, go on clinicaltrials.gov and just start sending out emails. And they did. And then they got back to me 2 days ago and they said, wow, this is like, the results are so limited. They only had 2 people respond to like 100 emails. And it's like, yeah, that's just how it works sometimes.
But you know what? Like, you know what's the beauty of the clinicaltrials.gov? First, that you're gonna know which studies are brand new. So if even if you don't have the contact information, you can go on the LinkedIn and look for that pharmaceutical company with the specific role. Then the other thing is that most of the time they list somebody that represents that study. So whether it is the medical monitor or someone in the team, right? So you can go and look for that person in LinkedIn too. And then if there is nothing there but just the name of the pharmaceutical company, then you can always go to the website or do a Google search. That's what I do sometimes too. I mean, you have to be creative, right? So you go, I go to Google and Google the study, and oftentimes they have the previous study information and they have on those results listed the name of somebody. So there is always a way to find
The contact.
the contact. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like so yeah, I mean, this is like the getting studies is just the first step. Then you have to know how to train your staff. Then you have to know how to keep your staff, which is what I'm struggling with now. At the end of the day, research sites, especially like startups that hire untrained people and train them, you are basically the minor leagues for prospects. Like I've just come to the conclusion that that's just the way it is. So if you get a year out of them, it's good. Like the ones you really want to keep, you promote them, like we did with Katie right now, and pay them a little more. But even then, even our max of what we can pay is like someone else's minimum of where they start. So I mean, it's just a matter of time. And then everyone's different. Like some people want lifestyle balance. They don't care so much about pay. That's where I think the smaller companies can be more successful. But I know a lot of you site owners out there are just irrational. Like you're like, "Nah, you're
But you know what? There is also, I mean, now that we're growing too, we're thinking about we give opportunity to the CRC Academy students that live overseas that are looking for remote opportunities. So I've been choosing like the best ones and giving them opportunities. Like let's say I have a doctor that is now creating our source documents and is somebody that does excellent source documents. Then we have another one that became an expert on the regulatory, so she's taking care of the regulatory remotely. And then we have somebody that is good doing comparing the EDC with the source documents and making sure that everything is right, answering the queries and things like that. So it alleviates a lot. It helps them professionally, and then they have more tendency to stick for longer.
Well, we started from LinkedIn and we've jumped over 2 topics there very quickly.
I know, right? So we're the
CRC
staffing part.
Academy and
I know this is a staffing solution.
and you're muted or something.
that's the cliff next episode because this you get the study, everyone thinks it's over. Okay, I made it. Well, no, you didn't. It's just starting. So like congratulations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Merry Christmas. You've got studies to work on now. And
Employees,
training the staff so you don't screw up. How many clients do we know? It's actually not that many because there are clients that we've warned, don't do this. Don't do all this at once. Like, don't do 3 sites in one when you don't know anything and don't have any staff. And then they fizzle out. Like they're out of business in a year. But it wasn't a problem getting studies. It wasn't a problem getting good budgets, right? It's the operations, and that's usually ignored by a lot of these research naive site owners, and that's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you already have a staff that you trust, you can easily send them to be educated at the CRC Academy. And then we have also a lot of students that could work remotely, the ones that are overseas that speak several languages, by the way. So all of the ones that I have currently working speak English and Spanish, and I have 2 that they speak also Portuguese. So it's
awesome.
helpful. Yeah.
Well, that's part 2. We're gonna do part.
Yes.
We'll do a separate podcast, the Monica, Chris, and Dan show, where we discuss these things.
Sounds like a plan.
Yes.
Keeping your coordinators and training your coordinators.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But honestly, it's fun. And a lot of it's fun probably because it's the my last site maybe that I'm gonna do. So maybe that's why it's more fun. Because I know I'm not gonna probably do it again.
There you go.
Like, subscribe, comment, share, guys. The money is there.
And tell nice talking.
Thank you.
And Chris, say something. If you could figure out Chris's shirt, the formula,
Mathematical formula.
I will give you my best study lead for the first person who can get the answer. Only one. I'll give you my best study lead I have at that time.
Figure out the mathematical formula.
Yes. Only first one.
Sounds like a plan.